There's no need to feel down. I said, Trump man, now you don't need to be unhappy. Stay there, and I'm sure you will find it way too high. It's fun to stay at the bar. I gotta see your hands.
Welcome everyone to the Hurting Humanity channel. I have to be very careful with this video, but I'm going to do it anyway because it's been a few months since I've had a channel terminated, so why not start off the new year the right way? And I'm of course being sarcastic. I'm hoping the channel doesn't get deleted, but I need to cover this topic because this is something that I've wanted to do for a while, and it continues to get rubbed in our faces like never before, and that is the constant leaking of footage from Mar-A-Lago with Donald Trump and Elon Musk dancing to the YMCA. And of course, if you followed this political theater over the last 10 years or so since Donald Trump has emerged on the scene, every time he shows up somewhere, they play the YMCA. And it's amazing to me that nobody sees the truth in plain sight and what that song is really an anthem for. And if you don't believe me that every single time Donald Trump and Elon Musk go somewhere that they're making these videos go viral, remember Thanksgiving, because there was articles out there during Thanksgiving that Donald Trump and Elon Musk were dancing to the YMCA at Mar-A-Lago, and that was making mainstream media outlets as well. And of course, Elon Musk wearing his X shirt, and you may have seen earlier in the New Year's Eve celebration, Musk even sitting a few seats down from Donald Trump, the moon child itself. So for those of you that don't know, maybe some of you are too young to know about the Village People. These are the people who perform the song, the YMCA. And I'll give you 1,000 guesses, but you only need one as to what the Village People are really all about and what they're actually singing about. I mean, you could take a look at the Village People, and they like to tell us that the Village People are a group of men who, while not all the members of the band are supposedly openly gay, they're a group of men who are often seen as acting out gay fantasies, like a construction worker, a cowboy, a policeman. And the YMCA, for as long as I've been alive, has been known as a gay anthem. Now, of course, we know how things go with Maga and the delusional people who follow the Republican Party and Donald Trump. They only see what they want to see, and if you present truths to them, they refuse to see it. So they'll see a false flag happening at a school, they'll see a false flag happening somewhere at a mall, they'll call it out for what it is, a gun grab. But when they actually run false flags on Donald Trump, which couldn't be more fake or more scripted, they refuse to see it. And that shows you that really what MAGA is the blind leading the blind. And the entire Q movement, like I've covered over the years, was created to destroy the actual truth movement. It was created to actually allow the government to create the conspiracies and the rabbit holes for the MAGA followers to go down. They're endless rabbit holes, like the whole island that Jeffrey has that conveniently the government leaked to everybody so that they would forget about that pizza shop in Washington, D.C. that everybody was exposing at the time. You see how all of this works? So the YMCA is known as a gay anthem, but it's not just known as a gay anthem. It's known as an anthem for this group, and by far their most popular song, and it's based off of what the YMCA stands for, the Young Men's Christian Association. So they wrote a song, these guys who are dressed up like this, who have preferences like that, it's based off of a Young Men's Christian Association, right? That's not suspicious at all. And you would think by now that people 50 years after this song came out are actually more aware of what the rich elites are involved in, that they would look at this and say, well, that's just disgusting. You know, lyrics like, young man, there's no need to feel down. Young man, 'cause you're in a new town, there's no need to be unhappy. There's a place you can go when you're short on your dough. And if you stay there, I'm sure you'll find many ways to have a good time. They have everything for young men to enjoy. You can hang out with all the boys. I mean, do I need to read any more of the lyrics? Young man, there's a place you could go. You can hang out with all the boys. And what this anthem is really for, of course, is that association known as the NAMBLA, the North American Man Boy Love Association, which of course never gets any attention anymore. This was a real organization that was trying to end the oppression of men and boys being in what was called consensual relationships, which is the equivalent of an adult being in a relationship with a child. And do you know where all of these people that we see, who we associate with being involved in these absolutely disturbing acts, do you know where they recruit these young boys? Well, at places like the YMCA, right? Now, some of you may remember the videos available still on the website, not just my videos about NAMBLA, but my videos about Boys Town. Do you remember Boys Town in Nebraska? The entire Franklin cover-up came through Boys Town. What was happening at Boys Town? Well, it's a group just like the YMCA, where they bring in young boys and try to build them back up, try to give them opportunities. I mean, it really just sounds like some type of disgusting sugar daddy website where they would say, hey, you know, why don't you meet with somebody who's rich and you might be down on your luck, but they'll give you money and they could be your sugar daddy, right? Well, this was networking for these young kids down on their luck who were orphaned, right? So that they could suddenly connect with people in Washington and connect with people in Hollywood. That's how the whole thing works. Where do you think they recruit them from? And Boys Town, it was exposed, was used as a ring. They brought people in to Washington, D.C. You may remember the thing with Jerry Sandusky at Penn State University, the Second Mile. You catching on now? How these youth groups that are supposed to help children are all fronts. Like I've talked about over the years, how these people pretend to be philanthropists, and that's how they get away with this stuff out in the open. Now, long before the government gave us this Jeffrey Island narrative, there was an actual narrative that's almost verbatim the same exact thing as the Jeffrey story. And I know that the government took the blueprint from this real actual story and just manufactured it with Jeffrey. They sent Jeffrey off somewhere to live out the rest of his days. He has left, and all we hear about is this story where they constantly give us government leaked information like flight logs to keep you down a rabbit hole where nothing is ever going to happen to these people. You just continually think that you're a sleuth and uncovering things that the government is feeding you. It is a government created psyop. But this wasn't. If you never heard of the story of Francis Sheldon, well, it sounds a lot like the story of Jeffrey. Francis Sheldon created his own island off of northern Michigan. It was called North Fox Island. You could see some of the disturbing photos of the island that has a runway directly in the middle of the island. And what happened on this island is that Francis Sheldon and other rich people would fly over to this island with youngsters that they recruited from where? From the YMCA. See, Sheldon bought North Fox Island and he ran a boys' camp there called Brother Paul's Children's Mission, which of course was a front, like everything else is, for making what? Well, making videos with youngsters. And then he would take those videos and he would sell them on the black market internationally and become a very rich man. He also was a big brother in the Ann Arbor's YMCA Big Brother program. And that's where he found his victims, through the YMCA. So do you see how this works? These young organizations for youth, like the YMCA, like Boys Town, and they tell all the kids to go. They even write a song about it because the YMCA came out in 1978. And Sheldon bought the island in the 1960s. Do you think there's a correlation between the song and Sheldon and why all these people like Donald Trump continually are dancing to it right in front of your face? I mean, remember, Donald Trump is supposed to stand for big macho men, right? Well, the YMCA stands for pretty much the opposite. I remember when I was younger, if the YMCA ever came on anywhere, everybody would roll around laughing on the floor because that was the mindset that people had when they heard the Village People. It was comical. And we know the mindset that MAGA and conservatives have towards the LGBT, but they seem to have really latched on to this anthem for that specific group, which shows you they just pick and choose what they want to see. So in 1977, Frank Sheldon operated this island, which really looks like it was the blueprint for everything that happened with Jeffrey. It looks like they took it verbatim. And Frank Sheldon, before he could ever be arrested, escaped because one of his partners in crime actually got caught with his hand in the cookie jar, so to speak. And Frank Sheldon left America and he went on to other countries and continued to do it until he ended up dying a free man. And of course, like most of these stories, it's very little known because people only take the stories that the government feeds them, like the story of Jeffrey, and runs with those instead of actually looking at some of these people and some of these things that have happened, even going back to McMartin. You still don't hear anybody talking about McMartin. They take the story that the government fed them as the answer when everybody got caught at McMartin and we went to trial over McMartin, and then what ended up happening? The government covered the whole thing up. You don't hear anybody calling for them to reinvestigate it, to dig up those underground tunnels that they filled in conveniently and built a building on top of immediately after the trial so that there could be no evidence. Of course, that's all on my website, and you could research it yourself by looking into Ted Gunderson and other investigations that have been done on what happened at that preschool. So, isn't it amazing how convenient all this stuff is? And while we continue to hear these people who think that they know what's going on, who believe in government-fed conspiracies like Jeffrey's Island, and I'm not saying that Jeffrey and the people that they give you information on aren't involved in this stuff. I have zero doubt that they're all, I know for a fact that they're all involved. For a fact, I could say it because everybody who's involved in this, everybody who's rich, who's famous is involved. Everybody who's a political figure is involved. It's a giant blackmailing system. They make you involved even if you don't want to be involved. This is part of Freemasonry. They blackmail each other. That's how they get sworn into secrecy. And they make people partake in these actions even if they're not into these actions. That way they never have to worry about one of those people coming out and exposing them. And if that person does try to come out and expose them, they'll flip the story on them because they'll have photographs of them committing the act. And that's how this thing continues to be a giant cover-up. And it's pretty amazing that all these pictures are out over the years, and we've seen interviews where Trump talks about Jeff, and he says, I've known him 15 years, terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with. It's even said that he likes beautiful women as much as I do, and many of them are on the younger side. No doubt about it. Jeffrey enjoys his social life. That's Donald Trump in 2002, right? It's amazing that if you just replace Donald Trump and you put Hillary Clinton in that spot or Barry Soetoro Barack Obama in that spot, how insane the MAGA following would be and be calling for them to be arrested and them to be tried and them to be investigated, right? But since it's Donald, they just ignore it. And they say, well, that's all made up because Q told me that those pictures aren't even real, even though there's thousands of pictures of the two of them with one another. Just like there's pictures of Jeffrey's associate, Ms. Maxwell, with Elon Musk and Ms. Maxwell with May Musk, because that's how this entire thing works. And you'll see over the next couple of years that nothing will be done. These people won't be arrested. And if they tell you that they're arrested, they're telling you that they're arrested so that you can feel like things are actually getting done. And these people are just getting shipped off to different places, because that's exactly what will happen with P. Diddy. They'll ship him off to Thailand. They'll ship him off to Israel. They'll ship him off somewhere where you'll never see him again or hear from him again. And he'll continue on. And they'll feel like they're satisfying your needs, and you'll feel like your needs are being satisfied because action's being taken. Because all this has to do with is preventing real revolutions and real people actually stopping these criminals who are doing these things right in front of our faces. Because in other time periods, if you lived in the Wild West, if you lived in a small town, and suddenly you found out that some guy moved into that town and suddenly a kid went missing or a kid reported this, what do you think would have happened before the police existed? What do you think the fathers, the men in that town would have done? They would have handled it the old country way. They would have used private justice and made sure that it never happened again. But in today's world, what do we rely on? We rely on Big Brother. We rely on the police, and nothing ever actually gets done. And that's to make sure, of course, that you think that these people are getting tried and going to jail and facing consequences, is to prevent people from going after all of them, because the whole system would come crumbling down, because they're all intertwined. They're all involved in this. And again, they rub this stuff in your faces. Nobody thinks for 1 second why Trump uses the YMCA, that nobody was like, hey, Donald, you know that's an anthem for? It's an anthem for the LG, you maybe want to change up your song. Not only does he not change it up, they continue to put these articles out there because this is how the psychosis works, right? What are the stories about New Year's Eve? Trump has the Village people at his New Year's Eve Mar-A-Lago event. Trump's dancing with Musk. They somehow leak the footage constantly inside of these parties that you're not really supposed to see. Somebody's just uploading Trump and Musk dancing over and over on Thanksgiving, on Christmas. Not even to mention the fact that these people are hanging out with each other on the holidays and not their own actual families. I mean, where's Elon Musk? His family's there, right? Because he wants to spend his New Year's Eve next to Donald Trump. He wants to spend his Thanksgiving instead of having dinner at his own. I mean, the entire thing is a psychological operation, all the way down to the point of them releasing this type of footage to you and rubbing it right in your face, because that's how they operate. Just like I talk about the signs and the symbols where you see them doing the 666 or the all-seeing eye. They rub it in your face. They show it to you deliberately, blatantly. That's what this is. Them rubbing it in, watching all the MAGA people cheer it on. The same people who think that they're anti all this stuff that they're trying to fight, like Jeffrey's Island, right? They're trying to fight that. They want to stop that. Now, of course, in their hearts, they mean that and they mean well. But this is how they spellcast on you, because the people that they're rooting for, the people they think are draining the swamp, are involved in it. And they show you just like this. This is how they subliminally do it. With the YMCA, which is an anthem really for the North American Men's Boys Lovers Association. That's really what it's an anthem for. Let's be real. Somebody just write a song called a bunch of guys who dress up as, cowboys and Indians and bikers, which, I mean, the whole thing is just, it is so cringy. It's unbelievable, right? Donald Trump picks them and doesn't go, hey, I probably shouldn't pick that as my theme song and these people because, the people who are conservative wouldn't vote. But that's how they do it. They rub it in your face. They show you the truth in plain sight, right? But they didn't just write a song called the YMCA, which became famous, about a youth Christian organization, right? A youth males Christian association, which is what the YMCA is. They didn't just say, hey, there's a YMCA up the road. There's a bunch of gay men. We should write a song about it because it really could help the kids get back on their feet. I mean, who are the people that we see that are the ones targeting children in the first? Oh, right. It would be the Village people, wouldn't it? Right? So they write this anthem for the YMCA. And then you listen to the lyrics. You could come hang out with the boys. These are adults who are singing the songs, talking about going and hanging out with the boys. At the time this song came out, where NAMBLA was pretty big. And at the same time this came out, there was quietly, the YMCA was being used over on Fox Island, North Fox Island. The YMCA was being used as a recruiting grounds. And then throughout time, we've seen Boys Town, we've seen, the Second Mile. I mean, there's thousands of these organizations that get away with this stuff where the person just has to pretend like they care about the kid. Oh, what a great guy in our community. What a great guy. What a great group. What great people, right? All they got to do is slap their name on it, put some tax write-offs into it, and then all these kids show up there, and then they spend time with these older men, and the parents think nothing more of it because they're high-ranking in the community. Like, guy's a coach at Penn State. This person's a political figure. It's a senator. And they just dumbingly, just like the stuff we see with Biden over the years, right? Think about the video of Biden at the White House when they do these camera ops on C-SPAN, everyone's seen, where Biden's creeping on these little, and what do the parents do? The parents are standing there and he's rubbing on the kid's shoulder, sniffing on their neck, right? Now, if that happened at Target or Walmart, right? If that father or these parents with their kids are there and you walked up and did that, I'm sure that those parents wouldn't just be creeped out. They'd call the police. They'd probably lay you out. Well, why do you think when Biden's doing that in the White House when he's vice president that no one's doing anything? Or even when he was president? Because it's the president. They're allowed to based on their status, right? Just like Coach Sandusky, just like all these people. They're allowed to because of their status. They're rich. They're prominent figures, right? right? Kind of like the Donald is, kind of like Elon is, right? So the Village people head to Mar-A-Lago for New Year's Eve. The media, of course, once again makes the story viral. Nobody questions why the footage is viral, who's leaking the footage inside of Mar-A-Lago and uploading it. That, as if they don't take their phones when they go in there. Or these people aren't allowed to put, just every single time there's just this weird video of the YMCA and these people that gets leaked and nothing else. And that, and that goes up all over the internet. And the media covers it and it's like, look at them, weird dancing, going viral, right? And then you don't think about what they're dancing to and what the lyrics of the song are about and what the YMCA was really used for. I thank everybody for being here. Hopefully this video doesn't get a strike, but if it does, you'll be able to find it over on the website. I thank you all again. God bless you and your families as always.